this is pretty much the same kind of thing that the problem we've got with Parliament and the Petitions Committee when they're assessing these petitions. It's like a logic thing. It's sort of English language, but it's not the language. It's the cognitive functions and abilities of a person under what's beneath the words or language you choose. I mean, you've got a vocabulary. You can say the words to open a door or leave a room, multiple explanations. You can say, I vacate the area, I walk through the door, you could say I leave the room. They all mean the same thing, more or less. It's slightly different, but it's the same underlying thing as you go from a space inside to somewhere else that is not in there through a exit or entrance, right? You can describe that same thing multiple times, but the underlying cognitive thing underneath is the same thing. Now, the problem is with YouTube, when they're assessing what people are saying in videos, what the words are, there's an underlying principle underneath it, right? And no matter what words you use, if it's a certain principle underneath that is permissible and not wrong, then you can't disallow it. But the thing is, they're not reading the words properly, or they're interpreting a certain way, and they're disallowing something or not agreeing with something when the underlying construct of it is correct. You are right. And they're saying it's not. It's happening with Parliament and the Petitions Committee. Part of it is because part of their decision making, when they read something and decide whether they want to do something or not, part of that decision is based ultimately on whether they like it or not, or whether they want to do it, not on a purely legal or policy basis. And what they're doing is they're discriminating somewhat with their own personal likes and dislikes. We can see this manifesting in the policies on these big platforms when their people, their staff, their CEOs are writing these policies, or their legal team are writing policies saying, oh, we can reject things for any reason. We can close account for any reason. We can, reject, music or something for any reason, but they can't, because in the law, there are existing reasons that are ultimately impossible to exclude from. When you use the words and terms any reason, right, it has to include every single possible reason, because you're saying any reason. And some of the reasons that you can choose are not lawful, right? So it's cognitively impossible to make that statement and it be correct or have any legal validity. So you cannot have a policy that says any reason, because that would automatically include reasons that you can't have that are illegal. So you're attempting to say that effectively you're saying that your staff and the company can break the law. And then when you actually try and find out what the truth of the reasons are, they don't reply, or they just keep silent, and you can't actually access their staff, or know who their staff are. You don't even know you're dealing with now. They literally has put up like a complete and total obstruction wall, Now, and part of that is because they don't want to have to deal with that. And they want to believe that they can actually do what they want, but they can't. We're seeing this with people's smartphones. When people are on their smartphones, they're being given these buttons and they're being given these functions. What you can just ban. I mean, when you block or ban, you don't even have to give a reason, right? You can just block anyone or ban anyone for literally any reason, even if you don't like their sex, colour, race, or religion, right? You can just press it. So that's actually giving you it's arming you and facilitating with the ability to break the law and not having to explain yourself. Now, when you use the report tools for content, you have to, the menu opens and there is a selection, so you have to enter a reason, some sort of reason, like, sexual content or misinformation or so forth. Now, the problem is that even then, they're making up the questions you can have, and they're making up the answers you can have. So they're shaping the whole thing tailored to what they want within the confines of their constructs, of their platform, but not even by the law. And the buttons that they give us for blocking and banning, you don't even have to enter a reason. It basically is arming you or facilitating you, giving you authority to break the law, basically, which is quite powerful. When the most ironic thing about it is, it wouldn't, if it was 10 or 20 years ago, I don't think people would do that. But people are becoming so fickle in their likes and dislikes, and their attention and span is focused on channels they like and things they like, that they just haven't got time for, or don't want to entertain things they don't like, no matter for what reason. And the government are now legislating on more and more reasons what they can say that are illegal, but they're giving you more and more facility to break the law, therefore, for those reasons, basically. It's easier for you to break the law, and there are more laws for you to break. It's actually making users more criminal, rather than actually, and creating more crimes, rather than actually solving the problems. It's becoming very, very antisocial. Now, the fruition of this on YouTube is that YouTube is mainly automated, but they're supposed to have staff. We don't know who these staff are at the headquarters. They don't disclose who they are. They just don't disclose how many of the staff they are. And there's many people have complained about this, John Campbell, Vobes, Russell Brand. People have been having strikes and week bans and so forth like that. And most people appeal it. They give you one appeal, and you can only write so much information in there, nothing that would constitute like a proper legal defence or description. And I don't even really think that they are checking it. And the staff, this is when we get to it. If they have got staff who are checking it, firstly, when I submitted the form, then it said, thank you for your feedback. It said, thank you for your feedback. But I wasn't giving feedback. I was entering a legal counterclaim. It's not feedback, it's a legal counterclaim. So it's not ever to be regarded as feedback. It's a serious matter. And you can actually enter more information in the feedback form than through the actual official legal counterclaim form, which is more serious. Now, they said, I didn't really want to go on for too long, but I'll get to what they said, right? And this is on one of my other channels. I'm having to put it on this channel because this is the only one that I can upload with now, right? They said that I gave misinformation about COVID or vaccines. And for that, I have to be talking about COVID or vaccines. And to do that, I have to enter information about them. I have to explain it and describe it. And my explanation and description needs to be incorrect, right? Now, the only statement in the old video that I checked was a statement where I said I was going on about all manner of things to do with junk food affecting us all and so forth and so forth. And then I said the comment, plus all those unexplained deaths, right? Now that word, unexplained deaths, I'm not entering an explanation about deaths or what the deaths relate to, what the deaths are caused by, or even what deaths they are. To say unexplained deaths, I am not entering an explanation. So, A, how can any claim raised firstly claim that such a statement is A, referring to COVID, when I do not explain what it's about or in relation to, or about vaccines, when I do not enter explanation about what it's about or to. And as for deaths, there are so many hundreds of thousands of topics and videos on unexplained deaths, from alien abductions to missing children like Madeline, which you can talk about unexplained kidnappings or unexplained deaths. How about that Nicola Bulley? There's no law to stop you talking about Nicola Bulley, which was an unexplained death, right? Nothing. There is no information entered, possibly, about anything connected to or referring to or related to COVID. Now, other people are saying they're having videos removed as well. People were having videos removed for links they were putting to dodgy sites, what apparently it was their own official website. They're stopping us from that they're bullying us. They're bossing and bullying us with a system in the same way that they're actually giving us the ability to boss other people without having to give a reason. And it's very antisocial, and it's actually illegal. It's actually illegal. They're arming us to break the law. And what they want to do is, this is the whole Tony Blair and Charles culture now, the military-industrial complex. They are really not wanting to have to obey the government law and legislation. These big platforms that they're all private now that David Cameron sold everything off and so forth, they don't want to obey the law of the government, and they're not, because they're acting these policies that don't obey and don't comply with the law of the government, right? They're beyond the law, and they're acting in policies which are only company policy. The law is meant to be there to not only prevent you from doing things, but to state what you are allowed to do. What is your rights? What is your political rights? What is your free speech? What the companies can't stop you from doing or saying. But instead, or another person, or for what reason. But what's happening is they're totally overriding that. And who benefits from it? Well, it's the company owners now, which is the Tory party, are delighting and enjoying advantages and these mechanisms of implementation, which matches Tony Blair's, and that wasn't unexplained. My sentence was unexplained deaths. Tony Blair is giving all the explanations, all of them. He's entering all the information, and so is Charles. To say that my comment, you could prosecute Charles, right, for that World Economic Forum speech of his military-style operations coming from where? A global private elite that has funding beyond trillions, and they're operating from beyond leaders. There's enough explanation there and criteria to take him to court and prosecute him over. Because he's involved with all the companies that own it, and Tony Blair. My comment of unexplained deaths is offering no explanation about what any deaths are about or what caused any. So how can it be in reference to COVID or vaccines? Yeah, I've had a strike, which is not based on the law, which I'm being punished and been banned from videos for a week and threatening towards my other channel being taken down, with no and an appeal form where I'm restricted from entering information, and then they rejected it. I want to know. I want to see and speak to the individual who assessed that. And I need to know their full name. And I want to be able to write to them in person and complain about exactly how they failed to assess that comment, how they cognitively failed, that now their intelligence lacks correctness, and it can't possibly be a correct evaluation. Unfortunately, we're seeing this in the courts. We're seeing this with that case about Dartmoor and walking on there to do with whether camping is a recreational activity. When, even sitting in a tent and looking out of it, when I've suggested that multiple councils all around England on a regular basis pay for and install park benches through their parks departments, and parks are for recreation because it's a recreational ground in a park. It's a recreational ground, or a parks are provided for recreation, a park. And when you enter a park, when you enter the extent of a park, the perimeter of it, you're going there for leisure. Right, just like at Harrogate, they've got the Strand and in Finsbury Park in London and Clapham Common. You go there for leisure. Now, the governments and councils install and commission park benches. And if any of those commissions for a park bench says, what is it provided for the purposes of leisure, to just sit on and look, we've got serious issues. Because we're having high courts make orders that sitting in a tent and looking at a view out of it is not recreational, when actual government councillors in chambers are making decisions to install park benches for recreational purposes. And people go walking on the moors. They've said walking is, but camping isn't. But even without any recreational value whatsoever, if you completely strip all claims to recreation for camping, when you roam the land and when you walk around the land and when you walk around the country, you're a human body. And the body itself, once you go into need for stop and rest, once you need to go into fatigue, even if you've broken your ankle or sprained your ankle, if you even any entrance into anything to do with your body or functions which requires that you stop and sit down, it is therefore you're entering a medical claim. You're entering a medical reason, even if you're out of breath. That's really why benches are provided for recreational and for medical reasons. If you walk up a very, 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 very long hill, the council puts a bench at the top so you can have a rest. Also, when you have that rest from walking up the hill because you're out of breath and you might collapse, particularly if you're an 80-year-old man, it's provided to recuperate and rest. That's medical, but also you get the benefit of a nice view looking out, which is also recreational. It's a recreational purpose. Now, that High Court really has this issue that they've got with these companies who are enacting these new policies. It's almost as if it's a recreation to the judge. I mean, the Dartmoor people were obsessed. They wanted to ban people from camping and walking on there so they could do businesses in financial reasons. But they were so obsessed with it that they're lacking reason. They're lacking intelligence and cognitive function. They're lying or they're omitting critical evidence. But this is not, I mean, this is common knowledge. You wouldn't even, I mean, even if you went to get the files and documents from all the councils, I mean, it's beyond reasonable doubt that we just know that. I know that local councils have commissioned benches to be sat on, and I know that those documents refer to it as a recreational instalment for recreational purposes. I just know. I mean, you wouldn't even have to apply to all the councils on freedom of information to get those documents. You could raise that matter in court. I mean, you should just know that. These people are meant to be in very, very serious, highly trained positions. But what worries me more is these people are conducting legal proceedings over murder cases, over things like, Nicola Bulley and other things. It concerns me. And the worst thing is, the only way to do anything about this is I'm holding my phone in my hand now. You can't get any help from these departments. I can't open and read emails from the petition committee because they're lying about my petitions. They're saying that I can't have them and the criteria doesn't fit when it does. They're saying you can't petition about anything that's been wrong or wrongdoing. You can't be bringing a case if there isn't some, even if you don't refer to, I think they're not even saying if you refer to a person or a group for wrongdoing. They're saying that the existence of the underlying, even if you're not identifying the party, group, company, or any one person, they're saying that the petition can't be about wrongdoing generally. The legal system, look, the purpose and existence of, in brackets, casework, the right to petition the king, the right of whatever subject you want. There is every single area of law that exists and has been created is under proceedings to government. Every form of proceeding that you can have, which is to be judged by a committee, board, tribunal, court, magistrates court, crown court, high court, tribunal, committee, whatever. It doesn't exist. It's not an award ceremony. It cannot exist if there is nothing wrong. If nothing has been done wrong, if everything is perfect, and if no taxes need changing, and if everything's perfect, there is no case to present. You lay no evidence. You don't petition. You don't bring a criminal case. You don't bring a civil case. And you don't petition the government to need to get the law changed. And you don't hold a tribunal. The underlying premise and function and purpose of case, of proceedings, is that something is not right. Therefore, it must be wrong. And in order for it to be wrong, something, if not someone, has a wrong has occurred. Even if a barrel blows over in the wind and runs down the hill full of petrol and blows up an entire village because it lands in a petrol station, something wrong happened. There was a wrongdoing. Now, it doesn't matter whether we say that wrongdoing was John, Ian, Paul, a company, or whether it was the wind, an act of God, and it rarely is acts of God. It rarely is someone or something or some company. It can't possibly cognitively exist. You know? Now, with my case, this is the thing. They're saying that they're raising a case, starting a claim against me for something COVID to do with a policy, and they're not even stating which law in American government or British government it is, because for a proper valid legal claim, you have to say you contravene this law or that law, and they don't even say that. They just say, our policy on COVID, right? But you have to actually have spoke about COVID or mentioned it. I said the sentence, and all those unexplained deaths. What unexplained deaths? I'm not explaining what deaths I'm talking about, or what caused any deaths, or how they happened, or what even they're related to at all. It could be anything. It could be anthrax in Norway, right? So I am not explaining anything. Now, the only thing that you could raise a case against me for on that matter of that line and sentence is that I failed to give information. I failed to explain something. Now, the premise of the COVID breach of policy is that you gave false information or incorrect information of COVID or vaccines. Now, I did not, because I am not explaining what I'm talking about. I'm generally referring to some unexplained deaths. But what? You have to be able to prove what I'm referring to and what it's about. And when I do not explain it, how can you? You know? Because to be honest, I don't even really know much about it myself. And that is why at the time, and I was also referring it in time scale to 2 weeks ago, a matter that was raised up. When you're not explaining something, you can't be accused of it being about a specific matter because you were failing to give that matter. You know, they have to say that you've actually initiated or identified a topic or subject. And my discussion was about all manner of things. There's not enough to substantiate it. And to be honest, this is the thing. They're wanting to try to, once they've, and even if they're suspecting it's COVID, until it is proved, it's not even, until they even prove it is COVID, then you can't even, I wasn't even accusing it of being COVID. I said some unexplained deaths, but which ones? If you said unexplained COVID deaths, then you're trying to claim that it was COVID that caused some deaths, but then they're not unexplained anymore. You know? It just is not, the claim is not substantial. It's not right for them to do that. But I just don't think anyone is checking it. And then if you want to pick out something else, it's got to be about the matter that they raised the claim against. And to be honest, you know, these policies are getting ridiculous now because they're not even laws. it's beyond like cricket club or recreational club. When you go to a cricket club, sure, it's fun to go to a cricket club. You have fun. But if they've got certain codes and rules and then they ban you from the cricket club, it's different to YouTube. You might have had 10 years worth of cricket there and you might have been a member and you might have won some competitions and you might have trophies on the wall. That's sad and a shame if you get banned from the cricket club. But your trophy's still there. What they're going to do, take the trophies down or like file your name off on it. When you've got videos that you've put work into or time into, investigations or petitions that are valuable under democratic process and things like that, that have a actual value. You might not have copies of these videos. It's actually existing work. And YouTube, they're claiming that they own it, own all those files. But if you ain't got copies of them, are you automatically giving YouTube the copyright to own them? There are issues over property. It's almost like having a locker. It's like a recreational club if you've got a locker and if you put some things in it like your pumps and cricket bat and so forth and it's worth like 600 quid, and if you got banned from the club, would you be allowed in the club to get your bat and your pumps? That's your property. Have they stolen them? This is the thing. YouTube are not even allowing you access to your control panel now, and I only got one strike when it got taken down. There are some issues about that, if it could be judged in court that the data they're holding of yours has some monetary value or you put so many hours of work into it. I mean, people, when they ban a channel or take it down from YouTube, you're meant to be able to access your panel and videos, even if you can't post anything or upload anything, so you can access and download things, but they're not even doing that for my channel. And I only got one strike. I think it's been hacked. It's just ridiculous. And now my other channel's got a strike for this, what I'm talking about. It's just ridiculous. It's not fair. We're being... it's different if it's, like some sort of... on forums, right? When you had a forum, if you went on forums and you were a member and you had loads of posts, a lot of the time if you got banned or removed, all your old posts would still sort of be on there because they were valuable to discussions of other people, and you just won't be able to make any more comments because it was just on something that you did there and then, right? Someone actually changed my name on a forum I was in back in the 2000s, and it was really mean to me. Booted me off there and changed even the name on my account and things like that. There was some really, really weird and odd, nasty things going on back in the day. Even back then, and like my video getting hacked that I was making, and I lost a lot of the video footage and things like that, And now it's actually been done. You wouldn't have dreamed anyone would do that to you, And now it's actually YouTube that are doing it. But they claim to be this company that are sending out these trophies and medals. I mean, some of these people have got trophies on their walls or whatever, these medals for 100,000 subscribers. But they're even getting... 1 minute, YouTuber are sending them an award, and then they're banning them from uploading for a week. It's ridiculous. It's almost like some sort of odd family or something. I don't know, like a dysfunctional family or something, How can you have been on there for 10 years and uploaded regularly? It's just, and then they say, and then they say most people only get one strike, but I got one strike and I didn't have any more, and then they took my whole channel down. Where they've got all this democratic policy that I've been reading, which is effectively, it's democratic process, which is what you're claiming when you publish ads through political class and disclaimer. So where is the eligibility on the videos? When I upload a video, I'm looking through all the options and I don't see political. I mean, even if they check it, to see if it is or not, they don't want to have to check it, I don't think, because then they'll be getting loads of claims on it, They should have a process for a channel, to make sure that you definitely are doing it for processes of our democratic purposes, which is elections, petitions and referendums. I've had it validated for those reasons through ads before, Google ads and Facebook ads. So, or Facebook ads, but Google ads is the same principle and procedure. So, why? What are YouTube doing, and who is controlling it with all the ownership? We're really being punished, and I really don't know why. It's not even the law, and these big. It's something to do with. It's an entire culture that's taking over, and it's a very antisocial culture, whimsical of blocking and banning. Unfortunately, in America, they're just I rung a couple of lawyers up, and I was just asking, basically inquiring. I didn't even get to really get past what summarising the subject, and he was like, just hung up. This is the thing in England. They're starting to say they don't have the capacity now. We're not getting. I don't think anyone is evaluating the strikes on there. I think they're just getting so many, and the system's doing it that they don't want to do it properly. And I want to know who is evaluating these strikes, because Dr. Campbell, as well, has had it, and he's got a highly prolific channel, and he posted a petition the other day that I shared. And it's going up to 200,000 signatures really quickly. That's democratic process. Polling is democratic process. I think George Galloway has a political party. He was on Twitter, but he got pulled down. But Twitter's meant to be the people who are leading it all now to try and sorting it out.